Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. Specifically, we're going to be looking at how people in the US feel about it and how they're using it. Our source for today is a fresh batch of insights straight from the Pew Research Center. It's their February 2024 survey. Get ready for some pretty interesting numbers. You might be surprised by what Americans really think about crypto these days.
Yeah, the survey really does offer a fascinating snapshot of public opinion. One of the first things that really jumped out at me was the level of confidence, or should I say, lack of confidence in cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah, that definitely caught my attention too. It's like, everybody and their grandma has heard of Bitcoin by now, but most people still aren't quite ready to just jump on that bandwagon.
Right. The survey found that a full 63% of Americans say they simply don't have confidence in crypto, both in terms of its reliability and safety, both as an investment and for trading. And what's really kind of striking is that this number has barely budged since a similar Pew survey back in March 2023.
So we're over a year later and basically seeing that same level of skepticism. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it just all the news about scams and market crashes and everything?
I think that's certainly a part of it. The crypto market, it's been on a wild ride, plenty of ups and downs. And yeah, those high-profile crashes, they definitely make headlines. But I think there's more to it than just that.
Okay, so what else is going on?
Well, for one thing, there's still a real lack of clear regulation. The whole crypto space is still pretty much the Wild West out there. And that can be, well, kind of unsettling for a lot of people. Imagine trying to invest in a company that operates in a country with no established laws. You'd definitely be at least a little cautious, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's just human nature to kind of be wary of things that we don't really fully understand, especially when we're talking about our hard-earned money. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Pew survey actually found that your age and whether or not you've ever actually used crypto, those things make a huge difference in how you feel about it.
Oh, absolutely. The data really clearly shows a generational divide there. Older adults, so that's folks 50 and over, they're much more cautious about cryptocurrency than younger generations. It's almost like they see it as this mysterious and risky thing, while younger people are more likely to just view it as an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, I can see that. For people who grew up with the internet and are used to these rapid technological advancements, crypto might seem like the natural next step.
Exactly. And here's another fascinating finding. People who have actually invested in cryptocurrency, they're way more confident in it than those who haven't. Think about this. Only 39% of crypto investors said they lack confidence, compared to a whopping 82% of those who haven't invested.
Wow. Okay, so is this just a case of familiarity breeds comfort? Or is there something more to it than that?
I'd say it's probably a mix of things.
Yeah.
If you've actually gone ahead and invested, you've probably done at least a little research. You've gotten to experience the market firsthand. And maybe you've even seen some returns, which naturally would boost your confidence. But on the other hand, people who haven't invested might just be relying on those news headlines. And a lot of that focuses mainly on the negative aspects of crypto.
It's kind of like that saying, you don't know what you don't know. But hey, speaking of knowing, how many people are actually using crypto? Has it gone fully mainstream yet?
Well, not quite yet. The Pew survey actually found that 17% of U.S. adults have used cryptocurrency at some point. But here's the interesting thing. That number hasn't changed at all since 2021.
Really? So despite all the buzz and hype, we're seeing a plateau in adoption. What do you think is holding people back? Is the market just saturated at this point?
That's the million-dollar question. It could be a lot of different factors. Maybe people are aware of crypto, but they're just a little intimidated by the technical side of things. Or perhaps they're just put off by the perceived risks. It's kind of like that feeling you get when everyone's raving about some new roller coaster, right? You're definitely curious, but you're not sure you're really ready for that level of intensity.
Yeah, I get that. And speaking of different comfort levels, the survey found some really interesting demographic trends. When it comes to who's actually using crypto, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Nope, not at all. And as you might expect, men under 50 are the most likely to have tried it out, which just kind of aligns with the general tech savviness that we tend to see in that demographic. But here's where things get a little more interesting. When you look at the racial and ethnic breakdown, it reveals some pretty unexpected trends.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing those numbers. I definitely did a double take. What did the survey find?
Well, as it turns out, Asian adults are actually leading the pack. 28% of them have used cryptocurrency, followed by Black and Hispanic adults, both at 20% each.
Wow. That's actually a much higher adoption rate than I would guessed.
Wow.
What do you think is driving those trends? Could it be cultural factors, or are there certain economic drivers at play? Or maybe a combination of both?
It's hard to say for sure. It's definitely worth exploring further, though.
Yeah.
Are certain communities just more open to embracing new financial technologies? Are there specific economic pressures or opportunities that might be influencing these adoption rates? It's a really fascinating question that honestly deserves a deeper dive all its own.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a really good reminder that there are just so many different perspectives and experiences within the world of crypto. It's not just a single monolithic group.
You got it. And speaking of those diverse experiences, the survey also highlighted another really interesting trend. Some of those early crypto adopters, the people who were among the first to get on board, they're actually starting to back away.
Wait, really? That's kind of surprising. I thought once you went crypto, you never went back.
Well, the data says otherwise. Of those who've ever used crypto, 39% now say they no longer hold any. That's a significant jump from 31% just a year ago in 2023.
Huh. So it's not just a few people here and there. It's actually becoming a noticeable trend. It makes you wonder, why are these people abandoning ship? Are they getting burned by how volatile the market is?
That's definitely a possibility. But you also have to remember that people's priorities change. Maybe their financial circumstances changed, or maybe they just became disillusioned with the whole crypto scene.
It's kind of like anything else in life, right? You try something new, you learn as you go, and sometimes you realize it's just not the right fit for you anymore.
Exactly. And what's particularly interesting here is that this exodus from crypto is even more pronounced among lower income households.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think that suggests that maybe cryptocurrency, for all its talk of financial inclusion, might actually be making existing inequalities even worse?
I mean, it's definitely a valid question. After all, if you want to even get involved in crypto, you need some disposable income to invest. And if you're struggling to make ends meet, the potential risks might outweigh the potential rewards.
Right. It's easy to forget that not everyone has the same level of, financial cushion to absorb those potential losses. But what about the people who are actually sticking with crypto? Are they getting rich, or is it more of a mixed bag?
Well, that's where we dive into the nitty-gritty of actual investment outcomes. And let me tell you, the data paints a very interesting picture. So the Pew survey asked people about their actual experiences with crypto investments. And honestly, the results are kind of a mixed bag. 38% of users actually said their investments have done worse than they expected.
Ouch. Yeah. That's a lot of people feeling that crypto volatility. But I guess that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? High risk, high reward.
That's the gamble a lot of people take, but it doesn't always pay off. Only 20% of crypto users said their investments performed better than expected.
Oh, wow. That's quite a gap there. Maybe that's why we're seeing those early adopters starting to back away.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. The thought of getting rich quick is a powerful motivator. But when you start seeing actual losses, people tend to reevaluate their risk tolerance. It's interesting, though. Back in 2023, 60% of crypto users actually said that their investments hadn't really impacted their finances one way or the other.
So it was more of a wait-and-see approach for a lot of people back then.
Exactly. Just riding the wave, seeing where it goes. But the new data suggests that the tide might be turning for some folks, which brings us back to that volatility we were talking about.
It's almost like playing the lottery. You hear all these stories about people winning big, but the reality is the odds aren't always in your favor. Especially for people who are already struggling financially, even small losses can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Cryptocurrency is often presented as this revolutionary thing for finance. But you have to remember, it's still a very young and unregulated market. There are risks involved, and it's not a solution that works for everyone.
Yeah, it's true for anything new, really. There's a learning curve, and sometimes people have to learn the hard way. But let's switch gears for a second. The survey also asked when people first started using crypto. Are we talking about a bunch of recent converts, or are there some more seasoned veterans in the mix?
That's a good question. And I actually found this part of the survey really interesting. Turns out, most current users, about 74% of them, first got into crypto somewhere between 1 and 5 years ago.
Okay, so we're seeing a pretty decent range of experience levels then.
Right. But there has been a noticeable increase in newer users, especially among Black users and people from lower income households. They're more likely to have just started using crypto within the past year.
Interesting. So even with those early adopters backing away, there's a whole new group of people just now getting into crypto. What do you think is drawing them in, especially with all the skepticism and, mixed investment outcomes that we've been talking about?
Well, It's hard to say for certain. For some people, it might be the potential for those high returns, even with the risks involved. For others, it could be the appeal of decentralized finance. A way to break free from those traditional banking systems that they feel are restrictive or unfair.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for communities that haven't always been treated fairly by those traditional institutions. Crypto might seem like a really good alternative.
Exactly. And we also can't forget about the role of technology. For younger generations and those who are more comfortable with using digital tools, crypto might feel like a natural progression for how we handle our finances.
So we're seeing all these different motivations converging. Some people are driven by profit, others want financial empowerment, and some people just believe in the technology itself.
Exactly. That's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. There's so many layers, so many different viewpoints, and there's still a lot of uncertainty about where things are going. It's like watching a financial drama play out in real time.
Okay, so we've talked about the shaky public confidence, the plateau in usage, the interesting demographics, and those mixed investment outcomes. But with all that in mind, what does all this mean for the future of cryptocurrency? Is this really going to be the next big thing, or is it just a passing fad?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball.
Figure as much, but, you're the expert.
Yeah.
Any educated guesses? What should people be looking out for in the next few years?
Well, I think the next few years are going to be critical for crypto. A lot depends on how regulations evolve, because right now, it really is still the Wild West out there. Having clearer guidelines could either boost people's confidence and encourage more adoption, or it could stifle innovation and drive users away.
Regulation is always a tricky thing, trying to find that balance between protecting consumers and not hindering progress. Anything else we should keep an eye on?
Technology, of course. Cryptocurrency is all about innovation. So any advancements in blockchain tech, security measures, and user-friendliness. This could all make a huge difference in how appealing crypto is to the average person. Right now, it can be pretty overwhelming for someone who's not tech savvy to try to navigate the crypto world.
Yeah, all the different wallets and keys and exchanges. It's a lot to figure out. So we're basically watching for both external forces like regulation and internal developments within the technology itself.
Exactly. But maybe the most important factor to watch is how the public perceives cryptocurrency. Will more understanding lead to more trust and adoption? Or will more market volatility and high-profile scams scare people away?
It's like we're at a crossroads, and which path crypto takes depends on this complex interplay of factors.
And that's what makes this such an interesting area to follow. It's full of twists and turns, and we don't know how it's going to end.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think we're left with this one big question. Will cryptocurrency eventually break through and become as normal as using our checking accounts? Or is it going to stay a niche market for tech enthusiasts and those who like taking risks?
Good question. I think the answer is going to become clear over the next few years. We just have to watch how those regulations evolve, how the technology develops, and how people's opinions change.
So much is still unknown. It's like watching a financial thriller with new twists and turns every week.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're not just talking about numbers and charts here. This is about how technology, finance, and human behavior all interact and evolve.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has gotten you thinking about cryptocurrency. What do you think the future holds? Is crypto going to be a huge success, or will it fade away?
Let us know your thoughts. Keep learning, stay informed, and remember, the future of finance is something we're all a part of. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It really is fascinating to see how cryptocurrency is, kind of changing things up and how it's impacting different groups of people in different ways. But before we get too lost in the future, let's just take a sec to go over some of those key takeaways from that Pew data we've been talking about.
Yeah, good idea. It's always good to retrace our steps before taking that next leap forward. So first off, we saw that public confidence in cryptocurrency is, well, it's still pretty low, despite the fact that it's becoming more and more common in finance. And this skepticism is especially high among folks who haven't actually invested in crypto themselves, and those over 50.
Right. And we also saw that the number of people using crypto in the US seems to have kind of leveled off at about 17%. Men under 50, Asian adults, and higher income households are the most likely to have dipped their toes in. But then on the flip side,
a good chunk of those early adopters, like the real trailblazers, are deciding to leave. And this is even more common among lower income folks, which raises some questions about whether cryptocurrency can really deliver on that promise of financial inclusion.
Yeah, that's a good point. And of course, we can't forget about all those different experiences people are having with their investments. Some people are making bank, no doubt. but a lot more folks are seeing their investments do worse than they hoped. It just goes to show how volatile and risky this whole market can be.
It paints a very complex and, well, a nuanced picture of how cryptocurrency fits into American society. There's curiosity, there's experimentation, but there's also a lot of hesitation and uncertainty mixed in there.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with a pretty big question. Will cryptocurrency finally break through all those barriers and become as normal as using our bank accounts? Or is it just going to stick around as something for the tech-savvy and the risk-takers?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And the answer is probably going to depend on what happens over the next few years, how the regulations play out, how the tech develops, and most importantly, how people's opinions change.
Yeah, there are a lot of unknowns. It's like we're in the middle of some financial thriller and we don't know how it's going to end.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes it so interesting to watch. We're not just dealing with dry numbers here. We're talking about how technology, finance, and human behavior all work together, how they change and grow.
Right. And to everyone listening out there, we hope this deep dive has made you curious about crypto. And we really want to know what you think. What do you think the future holds for cryptocurrency? Is it going to take over the world, or will it just fade away?
Yeah, let us know. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and remember, the future of finance is something we're all building together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody.